All right, so we're going to take a look at what I did to make it sound the way it did. This is what it sounds like with none of the hoo-ha. The hoo-ha, hoo-ha. This is just dry tracks. All the levels will be weird, but this is what it started out to begin with. Sounds bad, man. And then this is what it sounds like with all the assistance, as Buddy Rich would say. Let's see how get by without all that assistance. I remember that from a Seinfeld episode. Hee hee. Okay, this mic is muted. All right, so this is with the assistance. I'll let it play for a little while. All right, so there's, this is what I sort of came up with. I did a lot of forum searching, looking on forums, seeing what they might have used. This most of the drum sounds that I like, almost all of them, from Van Halen are from the 1984, the 5150 studios. And the 1984 album on, that's where they recorded. They tracked anyway. I don't know where they actually mixed. But I was trying to work on jump and maybe the all-weight kind of snare drum. And I don't know 100% for sure, but it seems like they got an old desk, which was a bunch of UA 610s, Universal Audio 610s. There is some talk that they had a desk that was 1108s or something like that, which is basically the front end of a Neve, or not Neve, but Universal Audio 1176 compressor, like the transformers and the preamp stage or whatever of this amp. And so I tried that. I put this on and put all the thresholds really down. So it wasn't doing any compression. But I found that the 610 sounded more similar. So I have a U82 card, and so I threw on the 610, and I just tried to imagine it like, how would you track stuff? And the 610 has like a 10K bump. You can switch between them or that. They might have used... I don't have this one authorized, but they might have used the same one. Oh, that's the B. Sorry, I don't want the B. I want the A. They might have used something with this like this, but this one has more selections, and they're saying they're pretty much the same thing, except for you have more impedance action. They might have used something like this. I'll have to A/B, but I don't really feel like starting a demo. Yeah, so I use that, and I sort of just juiced it up. So let's just listen to my overheads with this on and off. Sorry. Now, this isn't really good level matching. Like, I don't know, for novices out there, you don't want to be comparing the sound when the level matching is so off. Like, I wasn't really concerned with that. Let me see if I can level match. When you want to turn a plug-in on and off, you want it to be the same volume. Like, you don't want it to crank the volume, because if it cranks the volume, you're like instantly, oh, that sounds way better. But let me try and level match. something like that. So I put a little bit of 10K on there just because, like, I don't have Pisces, and his cymbals are always bright. And I'm using Neumann Cam 184s. He's probably using AKG 214s. Or sorry, 414s. And so I got what do I have? A bit of a bottom boost? No, a bit of a bottom cut and a bit of a 10K boost. And yeah, this sort of gives it that sort of like aggressive spit. Then the next thing I did is they recorded a tape. So I put my Studer A800 on there. I really didn't mess around with this too much. This is probably going to juice the volume too. And then and that sort of does a little bit of compression and sort of tightens it up a little bit. Then I put 1176 on a little bit. Actually turns it down a bit. My level matching is so bad. And then, did I put the Pultec on? Yeah, I might have put the Pultec on for a little bit more top sizzle. So that's just for the overhead. And I pretty much did that with everything. I put it on the room, the tape, and then my room is like completely dead. My room sounds like this. Which sounds like I'm playing in a friggin' box. So I have to use the Ocean Way. I have a pretty big pre-delay on there. And I've got a lot of low end pulled out of it just because with the low end in, my room is bananas. Check this out. Yeah, my room, it gets kind of crazy in the bottom end. So, I don't even have anything on my drums at all. I just have them run to a bus comp. I'm using a SSL G. But on the snare itself, same thing. Same idea. I was using the 610. Oh, this is out of control. Okay, so the drummer, there we go. So that's the actual sound of the snare drum without any hoo-ha. Here, I'll turn the mastering stuff off too. Which is pretty unimpressive. Like it sounds like a gross snare. But, oh wait, that is with the 610 on. Okay, this is with nothing. So that sounds like a meh snare. So I put the 610, gives a bit of grit, a little bit of 7K, a little bit of 200 to make it sort of fat. And once again, my level matching is terrible, but I like the sound of it. I just wanted to make it louder anyway, whatever. And then I put the Studer on it. Which sort of turned up the volume because my level matching is garbage. You should always, when you do this stuff, try and make it. When you turn it on and turn it off, they're the same volume, so you're not tricked by loudness. Okay, and then I put the 1170, what the hell am I talking? 1176 on there. Yeah, the ratio's 4. I don't want too much compression, and it's not even hitting that hard. Once again, I put the Pultec on there. This one I used the Pultec, the mid-range as well. Did I do anything else? No, I just boosted like a little bit of 10 and a little bit of 5. Because I'm trying to imagine what they had and what they were using, and I don't know what they were using. I don't know what they had. Probably something like this, maybe not. And then a huge part of the Van Halen snare sound is their reverbs. And what's really cool about the Van Halen snare is you hear the snare and then you hear the splash of the reverb after. You always hear, gosh, gosh. And it took me a while to figure it out. At first, I thought they were using the EMTs because I was looking up Sunset Studio where they did the first albums, and they were using the EMT. They had like when you look at their gear list, they have a 140, and they also have the 250. And I thought it was these because these are like iconic, like 70s, 80s kind of things. But reading a bunch of interviews, apparently those guys hate the sound of the EMT because they bathe all their early albums in EMT. So what I think they were using, and it sort of sounds like it, very much so, is this Neve AMS reverb, which I just ran the demo to try it. It sounds killer. I thought it was for like cheesy, like reverse snare drum kind of things, but it sounds great. So I'm using the ambience preset. Like, there's a bunch of different presets. I thought it was for like non-linears. Like, people use this kind of stuff all the time. Some of these presets don't even do anything. So that's the stock ambience. The plate is really nice too. This is a great reverb. So they might have used ambience, they might have used the plate, but the big thing is the pre-delay. And with this guy, you just crank it up. And I think this decay is a little long. I think it's somewhere around the 2 second. Somewhere around there. So you get that cool like ka-ooh, ka-ooh. That's the nice thing about the Van Halen snare sound. So I believe they use something like this. That's a great reverb. So yeah, I was playing around with that. My toms sound nothing like them, and I just wanted gates on them to make it easier for mixing this stuff. So I didn't use the 610. I used the Neve 88RS. And then what did I do? I might have done, I pulled a little bit of low mids out of the reverb sound. Oh, and the other thing I did to try and help that ba-ooh thing, let's just see what the difference is the hell, this isn't even active. That's great. I thought this was actually doing some compression. What's going on here, man? Hello? Well, that's cool. All right, let's try this again. Well, it seems like it wasn't even needed, but I was trying this, especially with the EMT, was to get it to compress the reverb signal. So you're sending from your snare drum into this compressor first, and then it gets sent to here. And so the first initial attack gets compressed, which is quieter, which you get to hear your snare drum, and then when it opens up, you hear the reverb. But it appears as though that was not necessary with the AMS. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, and I think I sent this a bit to my bus compression. So, yeah. I've got tape and I've got the 610 on each channel. And then also I'm like, oh, well, when you listen to a record, it's mastered. So I imagine what they would do for mastering. I don't know who mastered it. I think Don Landy mastered it, like the engineer guy, but it might have been somebody else. I don't know. So I'm thinking they probably had the Manleys because those were really big back in the day, and they're kind of sparkly and bright. So I figured they come out of the outboard gear and they go to tape. And so I have the Ampex ATR 102. I don't know what kind of tape they used, what kind of speed they used, but I just sort of threw this on to try and mimic the sound. And I did a little bit of a cut here, like around 270, just because like that was a typical thing. Like people pulled out 250, 400. That was the kind of thing to pull out low to make things a little sparkly. I'll show you the difference. It's very subtle, but it does make it makes it a little cleaner. And yeah, using the Manley Varimute. And then the Ampex, I don't even know how this thing works. I'm using 1-inch tape. I don't know what that means. Oh, plus 2.5, and then the 280 is the tape. I don't know what kind of tape they used. There's a 2-track printing thing is what they used back in the day. Which makes it thicker and a little grittier and whatnot. So, yeah. That was my attempt at a Van Halen-y kind of snare drum sound. I'd say the biggest thing is trying to get, like a tube front end kind of thing. It adds, it doesn't change it a whole lot, but it adds a little bit of like punch and presence. And the biggest one is is this guy here, the AMS Reverb, because his drum sounds are pretty dry. Like tone wise, they're not really ringy or big or huge or anything, but so much of it is the reverb that go along with it. And then his kick is like a Simmons kick on all of that kind of stuff until later. Well, 1984 5150 were Simmons anyway. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just like it, so I tried to do it. Anyway. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. I screwed my back up today. All right. Bye-bye.